right, it's 2 p.m. Central African time. It's the 3rd of October. A very good afternoon to you and welcome to this Thursday's edition of FESBC Market View, ready to take you through some of the developments happening around the business landscape, as well as what FESBC is doing in terms of their strategies and developing our business community in Eswatini, particularly our indigenous businesses. My name is FESBC. Happy to have you on the program today. Well, coming up on the show today, we turn the spotlight on the Federation of Eswatini Business Community's latest push to uplift the small and medium enterprises across the nation. Joining us will be the Hoho Region Chairperson Isaac Gametsa. He's going to walk us through their strategic workshops and their collaboration with the Center for Financial Inclusion. It is aimed at empowering the next generation of business leaders, and it is very, very necessary and essential in this current time. We'll also take a closer look at their ambitious 5-year strategy and what it means for the economic landscape of Eswatini. We do have our last segment. Sanele Sbia is ready to hop on Zoom to decode the indices of the day, as well as to break down the key movements on the market. Stay tuned for that as well. It's all coming right here on FESBC Market View. Let's start the show by looking at business news today. All right, on our first story, during the gala dinner with the Shiselweni business community, His Majesty King Mswati III urged big companies to ensure that the development of the small, micro and medium enterprises, SMEs, is closely aligned to their growth. His Majesty highlighted that the economy relies heavily on agriculture and industrialization, and greater efforts are needed, therefore, to incorporate more SMEs into the mainstream economy. The Chief Executive Officer of the Federation of Eswatini Business Community, Ben Simelane, says they are already engaging different partners, including the Center for Financial Inclusion, to help in the growth of small and medium enterprises, and this is indeed in line with His Majesty's speech. Let's take a listen.
As FESBC, we are delighted and we're happy and we're in full support of what His Majesty has articulated with regards to Shiselweni region. We feel that part of the things you mentioned, I'll stress on 3 of them, which I think are at the forefront with FESBC. First one being the youth involvement. We think the youth must be involved in the businesses because of many reasons. Firstly, we are all aware that there is massive unemployment of the youth. So they need to now focus on being involved in businesses so that they can promote themselves and they can also participate in the economy, boosting the economy of the country. Secondly, His Majesty mentioned that Shiselweni is endowed with such industries as forestry, which is thriving there. And most of our members, some of them are involved in the forestry industry. And we think that, again, that will also improve the situation down south. But most importantly, again, His Majesty mentioned the dam that is being constructed there. We think, again, it will bring a lot of improvement as far as, and will boost the economy because it will enable businesses to start looking at greening, in other words, using water to generate power, maybe. Also irrigation, it will boost agriculture. And forestry also will benefit. So we think what His Majesty has mentioned is in line with, improving and boosting the economy, especially Shiselweni being one of the least developing places in the country. We have already started to engage our members. We have invited one of the government departments to come and unpack part of the things that they need to develop. We've invited CFI, as an example, Center for Financial Inclusion, to unpack how the businesses can employ the greening approach. in their businesses. And we are going to have sessions where we will invite them. So we would like to invite Shiselweni members and potential members to look out for the dates and venue so that they can be equipped. We want to run with this so that they are also assisted in developing.
There's a possibility of an increased tariff from the power Eswatini will buy from Eskom South Africa in the new agreement that will last for the next 10 years. Now, this view was shared by the President of Business Eswatini, Mvuselelo Fagutse, where he stresses the great need for Eswatini to be in a position to generate its own energy for future economic growth.
Eswatini imports about 80% of its power from the Southern African power pool, with the biggest supplier being South Africa, according to the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy. With the private sector pushing so hard for renewable energy, we asked the President of Business Eswatini on what efforts will be made to ensure local independent power producers will at some point be able to supply the national grid to reduce the high dependency from South Africa and Mozambique.
That's the trickiest part of the energy independent power producers, because currently the rate at which EC buys power from Eskom is at concessional rates. And that's why I've been hyping this 2025 discussion, because we do expect that Eskom at the renewal, they've already renewed our contract for another 10 years as we understand it, but we do expect the tariff to be higher than it has been over the last 25 years. And I think that is the crossroads where, as a country, we need to decide whether the tariff that independent power producers are putting on the table is going to be competitive to what Eskom is going to charge Eswatini going forward. And we still don't know what the tariff is going to be. And if we see what happened in Lesotho, I think they almost doubled the price. So it does that's an early indication that the price is really going to be higher than what we're currently paying. And therefore, we believe it is the right time to start having conversations about generating our own power, even if the tariff is slightly higher, but if it gives us sovereignty. Because the other thing that we might be subject to going forward is load shedding, which I know EEC has countered it with generating power, using hydro during load shedding, and therefore the Eswatini community have not felt the impact of load shedding. But I think there's been stability in the energy sector in South Africa now, which means that then they are able to provide power to their locals and businesses, and also to Eswatini without load shedding. And those are very good news for all of us, because we want to grow in South Africa so that Eswatini can also grow. But the independence, when you talk to investors that want to invest in Eswatini, a lot of them want to know whether you are able to generate your own power. As soon as you say you are dependent on Eskom, they are less willing to take the risk of investing in the country. So for us to be really competitive and to attract the right type of foreign direct investment, we do need to demonstrate capacity to generate our own power. And when we do, we can grow our own economy. And dependency on Eskom has proven over the last 10, 15 years that it may not be the best thing to do for us as a country. But can we get to a reasonable tariff that can be consumed or afforded by the local people versus what Eskom is able to provide power at? That's the big discussion that the government needs to make a call on. But as private sector, we are willing to invest at the right tariff.
Economist Sanele Sibiya projects that an increase in the tariff from Eskom would then mean Emaswati should brace themselves for yet another increase in electricity locally. The Eswatini Electricity Company has engaged in a number of generation expansion projects for Eswatini to be energy sustainable. These include the Lavumisa 10-megawatt PV plant and the Maguga hydropower projects. For FESBC Market View, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
All right, it has just gone 10 minutes after 2. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching FESBC Market View. After the break, we want to chime into the strategic workshops that FESBC is pushing, but also a strategic collaboration between FESBC and the Eswatini's Center for Financial Inclusion, which looks into empowering our future business leaders. An important development that we want to look into with the chairperson of the Hoho region, Isaac Gametse, under FESBC. But that is not all. We want to get a closer look as well at the ambitious 5-year strategy by FESBC after the break.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sifile sive sikhulume.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Welcome back to the program. This is FESBC Market View. The Federation of Eswatini Business Community is on a drive to uplift small and medium enterprises across all the regions of the country. And today we are joined by the Federation's chairperson in the Hoho region, Isaac Gametse. He's going to talk about the different workshops they will be having around the country, that is in collaboration with the Center for Financial Inclusion and the region's 5-year strategy. Mr. Gametse, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to the program. Indzaba lenkulu lena nasikhuluma ngokubambisana kwema organizations ngiletinye tetintfo lesingasho ukuthi even from the throne sitivile ukuthi kusachithekwa embili kutafuna ukuthi vele kubanjiswane ngoba kuncane lesingakuachieve nasihamba sodwa engxenye singaqala nje ngekubuka le regional focus nanikhuluma ngayo ning FESBC nithi ni committed ekuthenini niphakamise ama business ethu lasaqala lama SMEs cishe nje live lonke lokuba indzaba lenkulu ke ukuthi sifuna ukunaro shutdown nyalo sikufake lapha ka Hoho la sikhona khona thina sobabili ngabe ngutiphi tinsayeya kungabe tinsayeya kuphela kuphinze kube ngematfuba la khona lenwabonile nisachubeka nalama business lapha.
Okay, asibonge Mnguni kuba seselihlelweni nalamuhla sing FESBC Hoho kuningi lesikuhlela imbisile lesifuna ukusebenzisa for the next 5 years and nekukusita nekukhutsata bosomabhizinisi ku region yethu and kule strategic plan sethu lesinaso sibuke ukuthi bosomabhizinisi bayashoda ngekunziseka, they lack knowledge nekuranisha lama business abo labaningi. Lo munye kuba sifiso nje ukuthi uyafuna ukuranisha ibusiness, but how do you go deeper? And so have you done a research about the market? Because lokufuna kwenda viable yini market. And so that is where we come in as FESBC. So as you know, let's do EMA workshops for all subscribed members of FESBC. So sinawo lama workshop laqhubekayo kwamanje lapho khona sibafundisa khona and kule strategic plan sethu sibukile ukuthi bekunezingcinamba labadibana nato nabasafuna imali kuma financial institutions ngeke ngivete lokunye la ehlelweni because letinye inkulumo tethu tisasetafuleni
Okay.
nalabo
Sasebhodweni.
yeah nalabo lesakhulumisana nabo ukuthi kube ma-funders alokhu lesifisile lokwenda.
Yeah.
And we are looking at ukuthi kulama collateral lasuke adzingwa ngilama financial institution FESBC akachamuke in
Yeah.
to assist lo somabhizinisi. Sita monitor lo somabhizinisi ukuthi uyiranisha njani le business yakhe. When we are there utawukhona kuyiranisha maybe for the next 3 years sikhona la ngekhathi with a fully fledged accounting system letabe ikhona kumsita so that ato comply ngayo yonke imithetho lekhona even.
Yeah.
And so kunetimali ke lesitibekile kwekuthi we are looking at working around so much figures. As I said kwekuthi some of these things sengakafiki kuma-finalities kwekuthi sithi sayine nalabo labatasifana then sizabe sesiyabuya ehlelweni sitokuveta kwekuthi nati letimali setikhona everybody's unayo i-access yokuthi itfola only if the member la FESBC.
Okay.
Yes.
Kodwa ke ngicabanga ukuthi sesinako nyalo encenye ngoba sibonile emalangeni ukuthi lama workshop abakhona.
Yes.
Bayababide ngemihlangano sikolwa la khona vele kuyafundwa. Lokuhamba embili nyalo ngicabanga ukuthi nje nangisoma business ekhaya uyadibuta ukuthi mangida ungenela le workshop lena ngabe yini ngidawuzithatha ngiye nayo ekhaya. Some of the outcomes particularly we are talking about the workshop impact nyalo. Yini vele lo soma business lo la tawuthi nasekangenele kule workshop athi naku le ngihamba nawo ngekhaya.
Okay, lesikubukile sibukele ukuthi let's make an example of a retail. Le retail industry seyithathwe bantu bekhamba la event.
Yes.
So most of the retail industry ayisasi occupied by emaswati. Ganzi leyo ngiyona business lenginoma ngiliphi iswati lekulula ukuthi libe ne-access to it and libe likhona nalo kuyiranisha. And so ke lesikubukile kulama workshops sibukele ukuthi yini letinkinga letibabangela lokho ukuthi bangakhona ukuranisha those retail businesses.
Yeah.
Kwekucala sikhanze kwekuthi they don't have enough resources to purchase good stock. Then lokunye lesikubukile kwekuthi ke sekwendekile ke basithola le stock bathengisa. So i-banking system yabo ikanjani babhanga kahle yini they don't have abakhona igcina ema-record. So lokho sekwenta kwekuthi lama business abo agcina sasathwe kulaba bekhamba. Sesithi ke let's pop in as FESBC to support those swazis lesibabonayo kwekuthi banalo leligalelo to run those businesses. Yes.
Uthi nzenzabe ukuthi ngisathi nje ngikunotha kahle phansi not enough resources to buy good stock. Ngasina sekutranslate sekubuyisa kulolu emdzabo sitawuthi bede kahle ngidawuthi emaphakelweni abo noma ebhodweni labo bede kahle kwekuthenga lesingasho ukuthi isitoko lesikahle lesita ukhona noma ukuthi sikhompithe kule market. Ngiyafuna singene kulobo umcoko abaloko. Siphinze singene nakulama uthinza indzaba yemabhange nanalo ithinza ngathi indzaba lemcwa kakhulu. Lama point lawa ngiyafuna lothi siwenabise ukuthi nalo soma business atawuva ukuthi wona ngiyake nyalo kule workshop nangizuza kuna knowledge nayi nangemambala business yami angeke nje sitakale kuphela ngokwekuthi engcenye ngiyabuyela senginelwadi but it will transform indeed even their operations.
Exactly Mngoni. Because lokunye lesikubukile kwekuthi lapho la khona uradisha le business yakho khona. Labantu laba lapho badzinga ini lama customers. Because ungabukwe ukuthi there is a supermarket around the area. But Leo supermarket le around the area enough yini kuseva la ma customer la around lap. So that is when we said no, let's pop in sikusite ngale stock. Because when utabe ukule workshop utabe ufunza bese uyaveta ukuthi this is what I need in order to satisfy my clients around my areas. Yes, and we are not only looking for mbabane sing FESBC. Esisho sing FESBC so sibukene kuchubeka sokucala bonke omazi bospiki bonke eplane letolo. So sesi on the ground whereby sesicalile ku identify labo bantu lesitakhona kubenda as ama subcommittees kulawo ma region lamancane kuze ukuthi sitogcina singoho wonke siphelele.
Ake sesiqale le success yale workshop uGamethe ngoba nasikhuluma ngabo measuring of success kunalaba metrics labe sayasetshenziswa ikakhulu kuma SMEs kuya kubukwe i-job creation kubukwe economic contribution ne-business longevity ngiyabona lokho sinawukhuluma leti info letisenhlitweni ya FESBC engabe vele kulama SMEs kunoma ngangiphi i-SME emdzabo lekhona lengasitakala lana ukuthi vele nitawubabamba lesandla ukuthi sesiyabuka kenyalo le success yalomsebenzi wethu in terms of job creation indzaba economic growth nayo indzaba business longevity ucalile ngekusho ukuthi vele ama-business afa prematurely.
Alright. Kuliqiniso Mngoni. Sikubukile konke lokho lokuthi sitakubamba. That is why sithi sitawuhlala nawe for 3 years. Sila kuwe ebusinessini. Simonitor le business yakho ukuthi isebenza njani, iqhuba njani. Akungabi kwekuthi umuntu nakakha ibusiness kube ngokuthi wakha nje ibusiness plan. I-business plan is just a paper. But keke asesibuke ke practical lokusebenza kwakho. Sitaba khona ke ingakho sibe within FESBC sinawo emalunga ethu lenda ema-accounts le are registered, fully registered kubo accounting institutions and all the stuff. And so ngibo laba tabe bakumonitor ngokuthi cha usenda kahle nge-bookkeeping yakho and then nesitoko sakho sisahamba kahle. Lapho sibuke in asifuni sikhanze ngokuthi lilunga lethu sesiva ukuthi livalelwe nanalo sesinesitoko lesi-expire emashelfini. We want to avoid into leti kanjalo. Yes.
And I suppose Gamete, given the outlook and what we have experienced nje cishe singathi livela kangwane kuphela sikumhlaba wonke kodwa nje singumhlaba kube sekuthelela naseveni la kangwane maningi lama shocks labe khona kube ne global inflation ngoba naletinye tinsaya letikhona nalapha ekhaya locally le strategy senu ke nasithi sikhuluma nga 5 years nyalo siyaqinisekisa lokho ukuthi nangemambala lama SMEs ethu are resilient ayakhona futhi nek adapter in light of other upcoming shocks that may then resurface kusaqhubeka in economic pressures.
Yes. Yeah, sitibukile nato ngina madetho ngahle tibe khona endleleni. But as we said ukuthi it's a long-term thing and logo sikhlalele phasi sakubuketa sine executive sa consulta la kubita uthi consulta khona sase siyabuka no let's start with nganako. Yes, and so ke siyawakhuthatha emalunga lokuthi akasondele ehofisini la FESBC angesabi sitawukhona kwasitha la kubita uthi swasithe khona and lokunye lebekade kuyi challenge kwekuthi FESBC beka solo etel office. So right now singhoho sesinalo office where it is fully fledged lala sitholakala khona and nema emails bangawa dropper sitawukhona kubaphendula bakhona kusitakala. Our target as well kwekuthi si recruit members lawo members naswa recruiter angena ku FESBC saqhubeka sibafundzise ngokwehlukana kwawo sinema groups lehlukene within us labanye babhekane netekulima agriculture labanye baka retail labanye baka manufacturing so labanye ma skills kuleto dingoni leto so that is why sithi ke labantu abasonzele dudane nathi batokhona kuthola lusito lotaba khona nabo sibasitakale ekuchasheni ekuvuleni emathuba emsebenzi plus nanayo umuntu akhona kusebenza.
Simakhola ngamambala ngathi kuvunzile impela ka FESBC bosoma business bemdzabo abachumane nabo ke baka FESBC bekung Isaac Gamete lo ngusihlalo weluhla ngothikelwa ka hoho ka FESBC khuluma indzaba ke yema strategic workshops labanawo nebudlelwane ke lasebabakhe ne Center for Financial Inclusion ekuthenini kuphakanyiswa ke bosoma business bethu bemdzabo ne 5-year strategy yabo le very ambitious so ichazile ke lokho ukuthi itakusita kanjani ungusoma business sanele sibiya sewuvele usimele ukuthi sibuke donati inombolo tethu market lo muhla sitachumana naye ke nasibuya at market ungayinzawo.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76 222-000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash, or you can use Eswatini imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
25 minutes. In fact, it's 26 minutes after 2. We are against time, and Sanele Sibia has joined us via our Zoom link to help us decode the indices of today's market. Sanele, again, for the second time, just like last week, I will ask that you do the honor of just going through over the indices of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Ngumalo. Good afternoon to the viewer. So when we're looking at the numbers, we can see that, in the US, generally, markets closed flat yesterday, amid, our expectations that the in the US is not deteriorating very fast, which is a signal that markets are waiting to see whether the job market is responding, to see whether the economic fundamentals are in place. So we saw all markets closing relatively flat in the US, but still among those all-time highs, with the Dow Jones around 42,000. Coming into the Eurozone region, you can see that in London, the FTSE 100 closed. It's actually trading on the green with around 24.4 points. As a result, what we are seeing happening there is the Bank of England's governor has actually come out to say that they might actually consider more vigorous rate cuts if the interest rate, if inflation continues to slow down. And we've seen that in the European Central Bank, with inflation worries, we have seen that they may not cut those interest rates going forward. But the markets are also weighing in heavily on the geopolitical tensions, more especially in the Middle East. But the mood is still on the all-time highs, but relatively well. Coming into Asia, what we are seeing there, the main story there in Asia, Ngumalo, is that of the Hang Seng Index back at the 22,000. These are levels that we last saw before COVID. These are levels we saw before 2019, and this is a market that's been struggling to get to pre-pandemic levels. And we are seeing that the stimulus within mainland China has actually worked, and they've boosted markets, at least in the past couple of days, such that even the Shanghai Composite Index stayed there at around 3,000. These are levels which last saw, say, around in February of this year. But overall, the mood in Asia is that one of relative calm, And then when you come into the South African Stock Exchange, you will see that we've lost a bit of ground today, still on a strong region, but markets are waiting to see that data coming out of the US in terms of the job markets, how that will influence the Federal Reserve Bank's stance in terms of the interest rate cuts, and whether they need to go more vigorous or they're going to go steady, and it's going to show whether the economy is in general good shape. Coming into commodity, then in the local stock market, we've not seen any changes. And then coming into commodities, Ngumalo, we saw that gold is still holding steady at around 2.6. Still just waiting for that signal to come out from the Bureau of Labor Statistics earlier today with the jobless claims. and the non-farm payroll data coming up tomorrow. So those are the markets are waiting for that, and also still pricing in the crisis in the Middle East. We've seen Iran is being dragged into the conflict now, and then when that is actually showing in the price of that Brent crude, it's actually moved from the 71 that we were seeing earlier in the week to now 75. And as those tensions continue to escalate, we will expect to see the price of Brent crude actually on an uptick. When it comes to the currency markets, you can see that the currency has actually lost a bit of ground against the US dollar. That's probably because there's still those news that we are waiting to see and those geopolitical tensions, but we still haven't lost much ground. Same thing against the euro, a bit of losses, and then same thing against the Japanese yen, a bit of losses that we are seeing there. Just the market data weighing in on what we are going to see earlier on in the US markets open, which is later for us shortly, and then also the geopolitical tension, how those are actually going to play out. Mr. Ngumalo, thank you.
Sanele, thank you so much for your time. Indeed, we do realize that the Middle East has literally affected all our indices today. And hopefully there can be a ceasefire there, or at least some resolution that is made. We are seeing what the United Nations is saying, but it's not up to the United Nations anymore. It's up to the leaders of these countries to just, make sure that they get in conversation and everything gets sorted. There was Sanele Sibia, our economist, chiming into the markets of the day. Thank you for staying with us. We just want to remind you everything that we discussed with Isaac from Hoho Region FESBC. We do have the dates for the workshops. Monday, the 28th of October 2024. Let me repeat that. 28 October 2024 is going to be a Monday. Make sure as a business SME, make sure that you get in touch with FESBC. Thank you for staying with us on the show. Bye-bye.
Hezbollah